What have you learned?
I feel like late this week I have seen that just learning stuff from the book is not good enough. Like, because even if I learn just stuff from the book, until I have actually experienced that, it's still very theoretical and it doesn't has a lasting change.
Absolutely. It's like just reading cookbooks. You need to cook the
Yeah,
meal and eat it. But which book are you referring to?
it's not the book. Just like, so, like, let's say, like, I read stuff about uh, like like there's something like beyond death, or like, there's like something beyond me and all those things. But then after I read them and then I go about doing the daily stuff,
Hmm.
uh, it's hard to stick to that, because even when I try to do that, it's still forcing and it doesn't work a lot of time. So, like, when I see something like that reminds me of death, then the fear is still there. Like, the fear doesn't go away.
Oh, you're afraid of death?
Afraid of, yeah, like afraid of death, or like when I realize that I don't want to do something purely for selfish reason, because everyone is the same, is like me. Even that, like, it still kind of feels yeah, like still kind of feels fake. Like, I'm not able to, like, it requires a lot of force to do anything like that.
That's good insight. Good. Good. You're afraid of death, and it's hard to mobilize the will to do something out of just pure altruism. Good. I mean, that's clarity and honesty are a lot of this effort. Any questions?
Yeah, so I do try to, like, contemplate death on a regular basis, and what I end up uh, arriving at is I'm not able to, like, progress any further, because I get uh, every time I do that, like, I think about the death and all the things that happen. It still feels very unreal. Like, it's like death seems something very distant. First of all, it seems very distant, and secondly,
Are your
it
parents
feels like,
alive? Are your parents alive?
yeah,
Well, at your age, it won't be long till someone you love dies, and then you will be much more acquainted with it. You're a middle-aged man. Okay. It does seem distant, doesn't it, I suppose, when you've never been touched by it personally.
I
But
think
you will
it's
be.
not that.
You don't have to worry about that. You will be.
I mean, I have seen death around, like my grandparents, and I've seen other people die. So it's not that death is distant, but my death is distant.
Just wait. You don't have to wait long. You don't have to wait long at all. Death is right there, my friend. Okay. But still,
Uh,
you're preparing, so that's good.
and as I continue to ponder on that, there comes a point where it feels like that I have gone through all the scenarios. It still feels distant, uh, and it feels like until I have an actual experience of death, I can't contemplate anything anymore.
Okay,
Uh,
we'll just move on from death, or just put death with the other contemplations, right? But don't worry, it'll be there. Before you know it, it'll be right there next to you. So that's okay.
mm,
You know, the Buddhists, the the Tibetan Buddhists in particular, they would have their monks meditate in cemeteries, because they understood that it's difficult for younger people, women and men,
Mm-hmm.
to even acknowledge death, but it'll be there very soon, much sooner than you realize.
Mm-hmm. But
And it's a wise man that
this,
prepares for what's coming, right? As opposed to
sorry.
prepare for what's past. It's a wise man who prepares for what's coming as opposed to ruminating about what's past.
Mm-hmm.
So that's okay.
But this behavior is in stark contrast
Which
compared
behavior?
to, sorry,
Which behavior?
this feeling that my death is distant is in very stark contrast to how I used to feel just like 3 years ago, when I used to worry about death for even the small things. So
You had an obsession about you. Say more about that. You were afraid of death 3 years ago.
like it started, I think 12 years ago, when I had some medical issues,
Uh huh.
and with that I was already afraid of death, like afraid of having my blood pressure spiked, afraid of getting stroke, like anything will feel like it can be fatal, and I was living in constant fear of death all the time.
Ah.
It was like an obsession, that like the constant fear throughout the whole day. And then now it feels like when I think about those things, it feels uh, that first of all, it feels distant. That okay, I'll think about it when it actually is at the door, kind of thing. And secondly, it also feels like that life has been kind of tough. It's better than before, but this, like, if I die, then maybe it'll be better than just,
Why wouldn't it be?
because like right now life is nicer than what it was maybe 5 6 years ago, but still it feels like there's nothing like big happening. Like I'm not, like the experience feels like man, like if I
Say
die,
so.
then
Would it be fair to say that on one hand, say 12 years ago, 3 years ago, your mind obsessed about death and dying, and you were afraid of it.
yeah.
Now that you've been doing some work with your mind is taking the opposite position, which is no need to think about death because I'm first of all, it's very unpleasant for me personally because I used to obsess about it, and that's kind of a relief.
Mm.
I mean, are you glad you don't obsess about death?
Yeah, I'm glad I don't obsess about death. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But those are still at the level of the mind games, right? That's still the mind playing
Yeah.
tricks. So then,
Yeah.
another question, because otherwise I'm going to ask you, who is it that's obsessing?
Mm.
So let's go to the next question.
Okay.
But it's good to be free of a symptom. And if you're obsessing about death, that's a symptom. I mean, and so this is one thing that's really important, say, for example, in meditation retreats or in any kind of spiritual endeavor, to make sure that someone's not going off into an obsession, into the mental illness of obsessive or compulsive behaviors. And that happens with religion
Mhm.
and religious practices. But it sounds like you're free of that, so that's good.
Mm.
But part of the reason for contemplating death is so you know who you are, right?
Mm.
But that's later.
Mm.
Question.
Yeah, the next question I wanted to ask about, when it comes to helping people, uh, what should be like the mindset? So lately, I noticed, not lately, like for some time, I have noticed that it has become kind of easy to help people if it's organic. Like, let's say I'm doing something and something pops up, I don't even have to think about it, and it happens.
That's it. That's all.
Mm. But then,
If you
sometimes what?
contrive, you ruin it. That's all you have to do. If something needs doing and you can do it and you can help someone just like you would want to be helped, that's all. I mean,
But
you don't accumulate merit that you can then go cash in. That's a misunderstanding of Christianity and Buddhism. That's like trying to do a deal with the Lord. That's not how things work. I mean, there's nothing, too wrong about it. But in retrospect, when you look at how you've tried to help when you've contrived, as often as not, if not more often, you realize that in the longer term, you've actually harmed yourself or others because you've contrived. A lot of harm is done. A lot of, dare I say, evil is done in the name of doing good. So best to stay away from that. It takes wisdom. And without wisdom, without true insight, best just to do what comes naturally and no more than that. You can't buy your way into heaven. Good question.
yeah, I have two questions on that.
Okay.
The first one is, it makes me feel that that likely I'm just like staying comfortable, like I'm not stretching myself, and that's why helping people feels easy, because I'm only doing what is easy to me, and whenever something is difficult for me, I just don't do it when it comes to helping people.
What's the question?
So so this so I don't know if I should stretch myself in helping people.
Don't contrive, that's all. Are you helping them in order to get something back or to be seen as someone that's good and helpful?
No.
Okay, well then that's not a problem.
Okay, but I'm
Why
only
don't
helping.
you want to be more concrete without being personal?
For example, yeah. So like a very simple example. Let's say there's someone at work who who needs help. Now, if it's something that I know I know already,
Mm-hmm.
and something that I can help without putting a lot of effort, I'll easily do it. But if it's something for which I will need to put in effort more than like usual, then I would not step up. I would not. Yeah, I would not step up.
What's the question?
So then it feels like I am kind of being lazy or contriving to not help because it's
You feel like
not
you're
effortless.
contriving to not help?
Yeah, like I'm taking the easy way out. Like I'm doing what is comfortable to me, but anything that
Is this a
requires
fellow
me to,
employee?
yeah, fellow employee,
Is
yes.
it your job to help them?
No.
Well, then it's probably somebody else's job, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. Or like they can do
Okay, see
it
what I mean by
themselves.
without wisdom, without insight, you shouldn't go beyond a certain point.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because it could be
Got
a
it.
systematic flaw in the way the organization's set up.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But beyond a certain point, don't worry about it.
Okay. Got it.
Just be kind. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you need to be something other than kind.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on the circumstance.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Uh, then I have one more follow-up questions.
Sure.
So so sometimes I feel I recognize that I'm helping someone because I like them, and then that makes me think that I should stop first. I should stop because I like them.
Don't
That's
be
not
silly.
a
Don't be silly. Don't let your mind go into these weird little things. Just be natural. Don't worry about it. Say you help somebody and you enjoy helping them. What's the problem?
Yeah, because it feels like that I'm doing that because there's a ulterior motive of liking them. Otherwise, I would not have maybe done it. But then I kind of put that thought aside and still do it. But that thought comes up.
So let it go away. Quit holding on to your thoughts like that. Just let them go. Just let them come, let them go.
Okay.
Otherwise, you start obsessing.
Mm-hmm.
And obsession is the enemy of truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if a thought comes, let it come, let it go. It goes just as quickly as it came.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Obsession is the enemy of truth and learning and many other things.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let your mind mess you up like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yeah. One follow-up question I have on that is sometimes I see people who I feel like I can help, but they aren't seeking help. Like they are suffering, but they are not seeking help. And I know that if I will help, they will not listen or follow.
Well,
So
then
I
what's the
don't know.
question?
So is there a way? Is there a way where I can make things happen where they will be open uh, to be helped?
So you're going to contrive to make people want to be helped because they don't want
Yeah,
to be helped
because
right now. Have you ever tried to help a drug addict or an alcoholic or a compulsive gambler when they didn't want to be helped?
yeah, it doesn't. I mean, I'm not able to do it because I'm not capable enough
So you're going around
to help
scouting like
them.
where can I do good? Where can I do good? Are you
No,
turning into one
not
of those?
like that.
Okay, well then what's the
Not
problem?
so. I just feel like that I'm
They're
not able to
ignorant.
help.
They're ignorant, correct?
Mm. Yeah,
There's
because
ignorance
yeah.
all over the world. Tend to your own.
Hmm.
And then you won't need to ask
Okay.
these questions, but you got to tend to your own ignorance first. You can't help a drowning man if you're drowning yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Questions?
Uh, I have another question. So this question is from your tweet, in which you said, thinking in language will vastly limit your thinking.
Yes.
But I don't know any other way of thinking
Well,
other
you got
than
to
thinking
learn it.
in.
You got to learn one. Good. Perfect. You need to learn that.
Mm,
Start with
it's
something easy like the flavors, or start with, say, a person you like. Okay, you like the person A. You also like person B, and maybe you like person C. Now you need to decide what kind of like. What are the flavors of like in between person A and person B and person C? And start to explore the world outside of language. Language is very limited and limiting, and you can't live in that prison. Nuh-uh.
mm-hmm,
It's a huge. It's a trap.
mm-hmm.
That's why Jesus spoke in parables.
So is it like is it like thinking with like intuition or impulse?
No, just take some time, and just like anything else, let's say you're going to learn how to, I don't know, code in Linux or Linus or Pauline or whatever. Just make up a language. You'd have to sit down. You'd have to think about it. You'd have to learn what certain things about it, and you'd have to explore, and you'd have to digest what you'd read or what you'd learned. And the same thing here. You're going to explore the space in between words. And in this case, it's pretty simple. You like this, you like that, and you like that also. But what is the difference? I mean, you're using the one word like, but what is the difference between those? And explore it. Like it's like saying, it's like going out in the autumn and you see a tree. You've seen trees in autumn, right? In the eastern United States or whatever,
Mm-hmm,
and saying, oh, those leaves are yellow, orange, and brown.
mm-hmm,
But they're not just yellow, orange, and brown. They're all kinds of hues and tints, as innumerable as stars in the sky, but you need to see them, and then you realize that you can't describe them with words. And reality can't be described with words. So you must free yourself from the prison of words. That's what poets help us with. But you can do it on your own. Just do it with cold rationality.
But so when I try to rationalize, I mean, it doesn't.
When you say rationalize, what do you mean?
So like, I I think we talked about this before also. Like even in your last video, it was about like you were talking about Socrates and how he said that people are afraid of death, but they don't even know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. They're just unnecessarily afraid of death.
Yeah, I think Socrates said that. Yeah, I think, yeah.
So
In the go ahead.
So logically, that makes sense, and as I contemplate on that, I think uh, the fear still comes up when I'm actually like when that is actually about to happen. Then the fear still comes, like when it's a reality.
Yeah,
Like,
so
okay,
you
I
get
can
out of the
actually.
way of the train or the car or the whatever's going to kill you.
But
This is where
so
being
people
closer to
who.
animals would help you, because animals have fear too. But they don't have words, but they have fear. They have different flavors of fear. So what's the question? I asked you what rationalize meant, and then we started talking about death again.
By rationalize, I mean I at least for me, it's I want to do something, and then I already know I want to do that, but then I figure out a reason just to do that. So that's rationalization for me.
Well, that's interesting. Rationalization is afterwards. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. 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 So let's get back to the. We were talking about the colors of trees on leaves.
Yeah.
And how grunts and squeals are insufficient. That's Borges languages. Do you know the piece I'm talking about?
No.
Can you find, let me see if I can remember it. It may come to me. There's a name of some guy. But anyway, go ahead. What's the question?
Yeah. So the question was about thinking without thinking in language. So sometimes intentionally I can cut off translation of stuff I see to words, and then I just see that or hear that without translation. But then that's very
Give me a
slow
language for
spoken.
this.
So the visual is also kind of uh, thought, like a language thought.
Is this visual?
So like I am seeing, I'm hearing, and there's an automatic understanding of the
Are
event
you
or the
seeing,
words.
or are you just looking?
I think I can't tell the difference. It's the same. It feels the same to me.
Okay.
So in the book, they talk about looking versus seeing.
Right. Can you see? Or do you just look?
I think I just look. Yeah,
Are you afraid?
not afraid. I don't think I'm afraid.
Well, you say you just look. Why don't you see?
don't know. Because that is the only
What are the
mode of
possibilities
operation.
for not seeing?
What are the possibilities for not seeing?
Just looking, not seeing.
I think I don't get that. What is the possibilities for not
Well, you say you
seeing?
don't see, you just look. How come?
So I don't know whether that's looking or seeing, but I, but I do
What's the
only
difference
one
between
thing.
looking and seeing?
Like in the books, it seems looking is
No, not
when
the
I.
books. Not the books. We're talking here, right now, at this moment, in the present. This is all there is.
Mhm.
What's the difference between looking and seeing? You can't see if you're always looking away. That's one thing.
Mhm.
So what's the difference?
I think in in one context when I am looking, mind is not fully engaged. There like some other threads
So
or
you're
some other
distracted.
thing is going on.
So you're
And
distracted.
but then when that is not the case, when I'm actually just engaged, even then it's just like a literal translation going on. So it
Would it be
seems
fair to
this.
call that superficial as opposed
Yeah,
to
yeah,
deep? Okay.
yeah.
Well, you need to go deeper. Seeing takes depth. Seeing is depth.
Mhm.
So, next question.
So if I if I quiet my mind and I just
Then you could see.
focus on the scene, it's more intimate.
You don't have to focus
But
on the seeing, you just have to see. Yeah, and it's infinitely more infinite. You're completely intimate with the world, with what is, with reality, with what's here, as opposed to off somewhere in lost in space of your mind.
but is that seeing? Because it seems books
That's
are
certainly
referring to
closer to
something.
seeing than just looking, because your mind is scattered all over the place and you can't be present in the moment.
Mhm.
Being present in the moment is seeing, but fully present in the moment, not partially present with, a train wreck going on inside the skull, inside the brain. It's okay, you'll learn.
Mhm. Mhm.
Question.
I have one more question about it's like I'm reading the sutras, the Avatakam Sutra now,
Oh,
and
good, good. Let's read a little bit. Where are you? If you
so
need to go, I'll just keep reading a little bit. Go ahead.
I'm on the appearance of Buddha, book 2.
Okay. What page, I wonder?
So the page number is 161.
Do you see how it's a hologram?
That I don't see.
Okay, let me read a little bit just for folks, okay?
Mhm.
Maybe they'll be able to see it from a distance. Then the Buddha, wishing to enable all the enlightening beings to realize the spiritual power of the boundless realm of the enlightened one, emitted a light from between his brows. The light was called Treasury of the Light of Knowledge of all enlightening beings, illuminating the 10 directions: north, south, east, west, southwest, northeast, and then the nadir the nadir and the what?
Up and down.
Yeah, I know, but what's the other word for the nadir and the?
And that I
Okay, I shouldn't have interrupted it. The light was called the Treasury of Light of Knowledge of all enlightening beings, illuminating the 10 directions. Its form was like a cloud of lamps with jewel-like light. It shone throughout all Buddha fields in the 10 directions, revealing all the lands and beings therein. It also caused all networks of worlds to tremble. In every single atom, it revealed innumerable Buddhas, showering the teachings of all Buddhas of all times, in accord with the differences in character and inclinations of the various sentient beings. It also caused, okay, I'm going to repeat that. It also caused all networks of worlds to tremble. In every single atom, it revealed innumerable Buddhas, showering the teachings of all Buddhas of all times in accord with the differences in character and inclination of the various sentient beings. It clearly showed the Buddha's ocean of transcendent ways and also rained infinite clouds of various emancipations, causing sentient beings to forever cross over birth and death. It also showered clouds of the great vows of the Buddha and clearly showed in all worlds in the 10 directions the universally good enlightening beings' congregations at the site of enlightenment. Having done all this, the light swirled around the Buddha, circling to the right, and then went in under his feet. Then an immense lotus blossom suddenly appeared before the Buddha. That lotus blossom had 10 kinds of adornment, unmatched by any other lotuses. That is to say, its stem was a mixture of various gems. Its bud was of diamond. Its petals were of all jewels in the universe. Its pistils were of fragrant gems. Rose gold adorned its base. Exquisite nets covered it above. Its radiant color was pure. It instantaneously displayed the boundless miracles of the Buddhas. It could produce all kinds of sounds. Its diamonds reflected the body of the Buddha. In its sounds, it could expand all the practical undertakings cultivated by enlightened beings. So it takes a while to get accustomed to something like that. But when you do, and you're able to grok it, you'll see that the whole book is constructed as a hologram. Okay, but go on. What were you going to say about what you were reading?
Yeah, so
Thank you for letting me do that, by
whenever,
the way. Thank you for letting me do that. Go ahead.
yeah, so whenever I read that, immediately the visuals pop up like very crowded. Everything is filled with Buddhas. There's so many worlds and so many Buddhas, so many sentient beings. But that's pretty much it. Like no hologram or like nothing
Not yet.
else.
Not yet.
And then now I'm sensing
You can't digest a meal until you've eaten it, right? This is nutrition for your brain. And it takes a while. It takes, it's like anything. It's like going to the gym. You're not going to increase your capacity in a week, particularly. So if you treasure your brain, you'll take care of it. And this is medicine for whatever else but go ahead. Now I'm speaking as a psychiatrist. I'm speaking as a medical doctor. This is medicine for you. Okay?
Okay, got it.
No, I'm not really speaking as a psychiatrist. I can't do that because, lawyers, etc. So I'm not doing that. I'm just speaking as an ex-psychiatrist, an ex-doctor. Okay? All right.
Yeah.
Questions? You had some questions about it?
Yeah, just one. So right now I feel there's an obsession developing, which is to finish the book as quickly as possible, and because of that, it feels like reading any other book like Secret Golden Flower or a Sufi book feels like I wanna just postpone that and just continue reading this text, but more like to finish it rather than getting anything out of it.
Are those your two alternatives?
It's like I'm reading the book to progress, to get some understanding.
Good. What's the problem? What's the question?
Yeah, the question is that is it the right mindset to want to finish the book as soon as possible,
As soon as
Like an
possible?
obsession.
I mean, that's like someone coming to the gym and saying, hey, I'm supposed to do, 5,000 reps. They told me I need 5,000 reps in order to have a flat abdomen. I'd like to do them in the next 24 hours, please. What would you say to that person?
And that's not possible. It's not gonna happen.
Would you let him buy a membership if he was going to do that?
I mean, I'll tell him that it will take time. Things take their own time, and still,
Okay.
if they wanna do it, then that's fine. If they don't wanna do it, then that's also fine.
Right. Okay, good. So you answered your question. But if you want to cheat yourself, go ahead. I mean, I can't stop a person from cheating themselves.
Hmm.
What's the rush? Is death pounding at your door? Actually, it is.
I mean,
But what's the rush?
the rush is to get somewhere in life, because otherwise life is will be a waste.
Okay, what's going to guide you? What are your goals? What do you want?
The goal is to awaken.
Okay. Wouldn't you have to take yourself seriously to do that?
Yeah,
Well, then why would you rush through a book as quickly as you could get through it?
because somehow it feels like the book will do its magic, and I'll get the understanding that I need.
Oh, you can go to the gym and tell them you want to do 1,000 reps of, of whatever they call those things, right? Presses.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to pay a year's membership. You only want to pay for 1 month, and you want to do it all in 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they going to say to you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not good. Yeah,
I wouldn't cheat myself if I were you.
I think it's a lack of patience, and
Okay, good. That's some insight. And so this is a way to cultivate patience and discipline.
Mhm.
I mean, you can read as much as you want at any given time, but you must do it. You shouldn't rush through it. I've been where you are. I understand. But it was a mistake.
Mhm.
So if I can keep you from making a mistake, I don't know if I can or not. That's not really my job. But just simply you ask the question. I think it's a mistake to try and do that way.
Got it. Yeah, it's a lack of patience and fear of missing out.
Well, the fear can keep you from seeing. Fear can keep you from seeing, and then you spend your whole life looking and never tasting.
Mhm.
So you need some courage in this work. You need a lot of courage in this work.
Mhm.
All right? It's not for sissies.
Alright. Okay, got it. I think that's pretty much the questions I had.
All right, sir. Have a great day.
Cool. Thank you.
Keep on trucking. Take care.
Bye.